welcome to my second adventure. I am super excited about this one, mainly because I just got off of work and it's Thursday afternoon, and this may be a brilliant idea and it might be one of the stupidest ideas I've ever had. You're going to have to find out with me. I got off work Thursday. I'm going to St. Louis, flying halfway across the country, and I got to be back at work Monday morning at 7 a.m. Somewhere in there, I'm going to Rocky Mountain National Park after flying into Denver. Hope to see as much of Colorado as is humanly possible in 2 full days. And they're going to be 2 really full days. And I'm anxious to see what I feel like at 7 a.m. on Monday. So come on this journey with me, see how it goes. This quick trip started on Thursday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. I drove 2.5 hours from my home in Olney, Illinois to the St. Louis International Airport. After hurrying to get to the airport and to grab some food, we were met with a 1-hour delay. We finally boarded our plane for our 2.5-hour plane ride with Frontier Airlines, and we landed in Denver, Colorado around 10:30 p.m. It was really neat to see the St. Louis Arch at night. Good morning. It's pretty early, but it's bright out here because we're on the edge of the time zone. And it's the beginning of the first full day. It's Friday. So I'm already super tired. I'll tell you what happened. We left an hour late. Our flight was delayed in St. Louis. Landed in the dark at Denver. We were supposed to be to our rental car pickup, economy car pickup at 10. Denver is a huge airport. We got there at 11 since we were delayed. And so we're an hour behind. It's already going to be past midnight when we get to this Airbnb apartment. And they were out of economy cars. They told me that I could either pick up an economy car an hour later, or I could leave right then with a $90 upcharge. So I decided, you know what? I'm already an hour late. It's going to be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning whenever I get to my hotel or to my Airbnb. And so I made the financially responsible decision to pay $90 and get the hell out of there. And that's what we did. Now, time to go see some mountains. We stayed in the town of Loveland, Colorado, which is about 30 miles east of Rocky Mountain National Park, but it is an hour drive. We stayed there on purpose because the drive takes you through the beautiful Big Thompson Canyon. This was the first view that my travel partner had ever had of the terrain in the West since we had arrived in Colorado in the dark. We were both mesmerized. The canyon winds through towering rock cliffs. You have to be on the lookout for the occasional bighorn sheep and elk. And on the other side of the canyon is the town of Estes Park, which is an entrance to the national park. As soon as we entered the park, we were met by 3 moose. I have been to Rocky several times, and I had never seen moose on the east side of the park, let alone in the sheep ponds like today. But here they were, a mama, a bull moose, and a baby moose. The park ranger educated us on what to do if they charged.
Or you're under scaredness, decide where you're going to go. Okay. Go behind a car. Go behind a sign. Okay. Be alert. Okay.
We did get to see them run in our direction, and they were surprisingly fast. As we entered, my travel buddy was in awe of the scenery, and I just kept having to tell her that she hadn't seen anything yet. We were still in the valleys. We ended up doing 10 miles of hiking the 2 days that we were there. There are hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park for all experience levels. This short hike is called the Alluvial Fan Trail, and like many trails in the park, it meanders alongside a stream and has a beautiful small waterfall view. The Old Fall River Road is a 9-mile one-way road that is only open in late spring through early fall due to snow. It is all dirt, and a lot of times you are right on the edge of a mountainside. Not to name any names, but somebody in the car was a bit scared at times. Near the beginning of the road, there is a waterfall called Chasm Falls. My favorite part was seeing my friend see her first waterfall ever. It was pretty magical. Then as we went further, we were warned of dangerous snowfields. It was July 31st, so there was no snow on the road, but we did see some melting snow at times on the mountainsides that was feeding the beautiful streams. Eventually we ascended high enough that we were above the tree line and we could look back down on the valleys below where we had started. It was a surprise to me to see this lone coyote wandering around above the tree line in the Rocky Mountain tundra. There's a really neat gift shop at the top of Old Fall River Road. I may have spent a little money in there. The gift shop has amazing views. There's also a high altitude trail here as well that I've tried several times unsuccessfully in the past. And today we tried it, and we failed once again. Next, we continued heading west back down the backside of the mountains to the awesome little mountain town of Grand Lake. We spent some time walking around the town. The weather was amazing. We lucked out on the weather all weekend. It was 90 degrees that day at the base of the mountains and 60 degrees at the peaks. Eventually, we sat down at the Sagebrush Barbecue and Grill, where I had an amazing Rocky Mountain elk burger with Swiss cheese, smoked bacon, and raspberry chipotle sauce, and a side of okra. I would highly recommend it. Yeah. The national park also has some trails that head out from Grand Lake. We hiked 0.6 miles out to Adam Falls and back. Major upgrade from episode 1, no bugs. After that, we stopped to look at the lake in Grand Lake, and after driving around a little bit more, we went back over the mountains for the evening, stopping from time to time along the way to enjoy the view, and also to go on some short trails along the road. Beautiful up here, and the weather's all over the place. So one moment it's burning hot, the next moment I gotta put a sweater on. Windy, raining, sunny, all within the span of about 20 minutes. It's pretty cool. Back down in the valleys on the east side of the park, we found this short boardwalk with some beautiful views of the marshy willows that moose enjoy eating. Then finally it was time to leave the park, so we spent some time that evening in the cute little downtown area of Estes Park. There are souvenir shops all over, places to buy all kinds of food, candy. The atmosphere is also very laid back and the air is brisk and clear. There's a stream that runs right down the middle of town that is very peaceful to watch and to listen to. Also, we couldn't resist sharing some cake batter ice cream and a waffle cone. It was delicious. It's very common to see elk hanging out in groups in town. You just learn to drive slow around them and to be ready to stop often. But then finally, as nightfall neared, we headed back through Big Thompson Canyon. You have to purchase timed entry passes in the summer for the park. I was able to get one for July 31st, but not for August 1st, because the purchasing windows were a month apart. We really wanted to watch the sunrise in the central part of the park, known as the Bear Lake Corridor, but we weren't able to get tickets. That meant that we would have to get up at 3 a.m. in order to make it in before 5. We decided to talk it over that night at our Airbnb after getting an In-N-Out burger. I really love staying at Airbnbs. This Airbnb had 2 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. It was clean and spacious and in a great location in Loveland. We enjoyed our stay. But as 3 a.m. came around, we woke up and almost didn't get out of bed. We debated for 15 minutes between seeing the sunrise or watching the back of our eyelids. It took immense willpower to decide to get up. I made the argument that if there was a future us that saw the sunrise, future us would likely tell past us to get our tired butts out of bed and go watch. So we got up and drove an hour and a half in the dark. And a lot of other people had the same idea. It's way too early. And you know what? It was the highlight of the trip for us. It was so incredibly beautiful. We decided that when we go back, we're getting up at 3 a.m. all over again to do it again. Future us was pretty smart. As the sun started to break over the horizon, the sky changed into beautiful colors, and fog started rolling off of the lake. A lady beside us said that she had watched the day before as well from the same spot, and that there had been a moose in the lake. Then, as the sun grew higher in the sky, the mountains that were behind us started to glow orange and red. Finally, after about an hour of waiting, the sun broke over the mountain faces, and the sight was absolutely breathtaking. And because we had made it into the Bear Lake corridor so early, we were able to hike that morning through the lowlands along some of the best trails in the park. We drove to the Bear Lake parking lot, but it was already full, so we backtracked and took the parking ride. Bear Lake itself is one of the most popular spots in the park, with its crystal clear reflective waters and the awesome mountain backdrop. After stopping to look at Bear Lake, we branched off and we went on the 2-mile round-trip hike back to Alberta Falls.
Locking the babies. He's all the way over there. Oh, see, Mom's looking for baby now.
Along this path, we met an amazing lady who called herself Kiki. She was in her 70s and she was blind. She was with her husband, and the two of them were celebrating their 50th anniversary. They were both in great shape and were out for a short 5-mile hike. Kiki stopped to talk to us for about 15 minutes just to tell us how much she loved life and how happy she was to be alive after multiple brain surgeries that had left her blind. Her and her husband were obviously in love and enjoying every minute together. We then went back to the car and drove a little ways to Lilly Lake. Lilly Lake is a short walk on a nearly flat trail around a mountain lake with gorgeous views of flowers and ducks and squirrels and chipmunks and mountains in the background. We watched a couple get engaged. We saw another couple taking their wedding photos while we were there. I enjoyed watching the ducks, especially the little baby ducks. After we finished our loop, we got back in the car and I went looking for the Welcome to Estes Park sign. Unsuccessfully, we were on the wrong road. Instead of finding the sign, I found the south end of Estes Park once again, where we were greeted by the Stanley Hotel, which you might recognize from the movie The Shining. By now it was lunchtime, so we walked back into Estes Park and went to get a burger. We went into Penelope's, which has some pretty good food. I'd recommend it. And after that, we stopped at a glass blowing shop and watched them make some glass pumpkins before making a second attempt to find the Estes Park sign, which we finally did. And when we did, we snapped some pictures, and then we watched some of the spoiled little chipmunks as they lived their best life eating junk food from the tourists. Back in town, we stopped to watch some more elk before heading to the Fall River Road entrance for one more trip to the top of the mountains. However, we didn't have a timed entry pass, so we had to wait till 2 o'clock. We were both exhausted and we slept for about 45 minutes in the car before entering for our last time. Now, I have been to the top of Fall River Road many times, and I've attempted the Alpine Ridge Trail many times. and I've always failed because the air is so incredibly thin at 12,000 feet. There's no air. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die on this hill.
You can do it.
The new name of this hike is Fat Man's Death. And I'm gonna live up to its name right now. My hiking buddy was amazing and encouraged me over and over to keep going. I had encouraged her to get up and see the sunrise, and she returned the favor by encouraging me to get to the top of this killer trail. A sign along the way told us why we couldn't breathe.
This is me.
We saw an ambulance. Still not sure if it was there preemptively for me or what. But eventually, we rounded the corner to what I thought was the top this entire time. And it turns out it wasn't. There was still more. There's more. Eventually, we made it to 12,000 feet. I was proud of us. Then it was time to head back down and go back to our Airbnb in Loveland. We stopped along the way to see the river in the canyon. Back at the Airbnb for the last night, we realized that there were pool towels and a pool key. That would have been awesome to have realized a day and a half before. Just left the Airbnb for the last time, saying bye to the mountains, unfortunately, leaving them behind, and heading to Garden of the Gods for our last day before we get on the airplane. We passed Denver and we could see the towering top of Pikes Peak from many, many miles away. We were headed to Colorado Springs, which is right at the base of the mountain. This is Colorado Springs, and different view of Pikes Peak here. We're at the base of it, and we're just a few miles away from Garden of the Gods, which is right in the middle of this city. So we're gonna see if we can find it. We stopped at the Welcome Center first to grab a map and get oriented. Then we headed towards the red rocks of Garden of the Gods. There were mountain climbers everywhere. That was probably one of the highlights for me. It was pretty impressive. The park itself really isn't that big. You can drive in a loop around it pretty quickly, or do what we did and get out and walk several miles amongst the beautiful rock formations. The little speck on the top right of this one is a mountain climber. I'm not used to a deserty atmosphere. It was 103 degrees here, and I liked seeing the interesting lizards and also the cactus. I don't ever get to see cactus in the wild. That is a novelty for me. The rocks themselves are otherworldly, very magnificent. I had a lot of fun hiking in the park, seeing the sights.
You're doing it right there.
Another thing that I really enjoyed about being in the park was the backdrop. You can look out and see Pikes Peak in the distance. This is called Balanced Rock. Great place for people to get pictures. Here's me holding up this rock in my Superman shirt, very appropriately. Today I learned that you don't touch those unless you want a bloody hand. Due to my crappy map reading skills, we got lost for about 30 minutes here, and we were late to the enormous Denver airport.
What time is it?
5 minutes past boarding. Made it with 12 minutes to spare. After about a mile and a half walk. Run-ish type thing. Luckily, we were able to get onto the plane after quite a bit of hustle. And then we stood in what was basically a greenhouse for another 10 minutes. The total cost of this weekend trip, including gas, car rental, Airbnb, park entrance, parking at the airport, and my plane ticket was $1,346.10. That doesn't include food because, well, we splurged on that and shared part of it, and it was easier not to count it. Late. We are on our way home from St. Louis Airport. Gonna get home about 10 p.m. Gotta go to work tomorrow morning. It was a quick trip. The coolest thing about today, well, there's a lot of cool things, but saw snow on mountains and 101 degree weather all in the same day within, well, actually at the exact same time. So that's a unique experience. Curious to see how I feel in the morning. We'll see in the morning. It's Monday morning. It's a little after 6 a.m. Current state, exhausted. Body hurts. Got home last night at, it was a little after 11 p.m. Pulled in, pitch black. Got the suit, well, didn't take a suitcase. Got the carry on my backpack into my house and wanted to go straight to bed, but had to unload it because all of my chargers and stuff were in there. So did that, fell right to sleep, slept really good last night. Alarm went off way too early. I've hit snooze 3 times now, but it's reached that point that I gotta get up. I gotta go to work. So let me get up, take a shower, get my work clothes on, and I'll give you the synopsis of if I think it was worth it or not while I drive to work. I started out this adventure saying that this was either a brilliant idea or a really stupid idea. And here's the verdict. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm sunburned. I was attacked by a cactus. I had to decide if I was going to go hide behind a truck when I saw a moose charging. I had to get up at 3 a.m. on a weekend, fly halfway across the country Thursday after work just to get back into work at 6 a.m. on Monday. But so much good came out of it. I got to see the sunrise in the Rockies. I got to watch somebody get engaged at Lake Lilly. I got to meet Kiki, who told me how much she loved life despite blindness, and how she was celebrating 50 years of marriage with her husband and they were loving life. I want to be like Kiki. I got to see moose, an elk, mule deer, a coyote, mountain flowers, mountain valleys. I got to see waterfalls. I got to stand in a place that I've never stood before. And I got to experience my best friend seeing the Rockies for her first time. It was so worth it. And I'd do it again. And I'm going to have to do it again because I forgot to take my National Park Passbook book with me, which means I got to go back just so I can get my stamp. Otherwise, I'm not complete with all of them. I'd give this trip a solid 12 out of 10. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And I've got so many good memories now. I've spent a lot of my life thinking the vacation has to be 9 or 10 days long. You have to spend several $1,000s to have a good time. And I'm going through a mind shift change right now. You've already seen me with the first 2 episodes experiment with this. Real short weekend trips. Only took a day off of work this time. Spent minimal money. And I didn't come away with half the memories. I think I came away with double the memories. It was awesome. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this. I've already got the next 2 adventures booked. I am heading out to Las Vegas in 5 weeks. Going to go to Bryce Canyon National Park. Going to also go to Zion National Park, see the Hoover Dam, see Horseshoe Bend, and several other spots out in the Utah, Arizona area. And I've got a cruise booked to the Bahamas. I'm going to go scuba diving while I'm out there. And a little bit of a day trip going on next week just to go up and see Indiana Dunes National Park. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm loving this little experiment. I wish I would have started it earlier in life. I've always been saying, when I retire, I want to travel. I want to see the world. And I've always been hoping I'll be in good shape when that happens. The mind shift change right now has been live life while I can. Live life to its fullest right now. That's what I'm doing. And I've got all the memories to go along with it. I'm super happy about it. And I invite you to join me on my next adventure.